Hamas says its political leader Ismail Haniyeh has been killed in an Israeli strike in Iran and vows to retaliate. This follows Israel's retaliatory strike in Beirut against Hezbollah, raising concerns over widening conflict. Samsung Electronics posted an earnings surprise in the second quarter, with an operating profit of over 10 trillion Korean won, driven by strong demand for semiconductors. Team Korea added bronze in the mixed doubles table tennis at the Paris Summer Games, ending the medal drought of 12 years. Another bronze was added in a men's judo competition. It's July 31st, 6 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Min. We begin with escalating turmoil in the Middle East. Hamas political leader has been reportedly killed in an Israeli strike in Iran, where he had been attending the inauguration of Iran's new leader. Hamas has vowed to retaliate. An Song-jin stirs us off with the latest.
Hamas's political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in Tehran on Wednesday. This is according to Iranian state media, which cited the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hamas has pointed to Israel and says Haniyeh was killed by a Zionist strike on a special residence for veterans in the north of Tehran. The militant group leader was in Iran as he participated in the inauguration of new President Masoud Pezeshkian. Tensions may now escalate in the Middle East.
Haniyeh was already an open and easy target as a mediator in the political bureau for Hamas, making constant public appearances. After the assassination for Netanyahu, if his support rate from Israeli citizens go up, he may come forward with a hardline policy on demolishing Hamas. Another potential module is that he settles with the killing of Haniyeh and goes with an exit plan to end the war.
Haniyeh had been a key figure in Hamas responsible for the group's political operations, including hostage and ceasefire talks with Israel. A senior Hamas official says that Hamas will continue with its current path as they are confident of victory. It also pledged to seek retaliation as Haniyeh's actions will not go in vain. The same expert added that Iran's response is going to be a pivotal point in whether this conflict will develop into a major regional war.
Since the assassination happened to someone who was invited to the president's inauguration, there will be some sort of retaliation. Though they will try to contain it and maintain the equilibrium without having it further spill out, it's difficult to predict a military operation.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has strongly condemned the attack as a cowardly act, while Turkey's foreign ministry has issued a statement that accused Israel of escalating the conflict. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
And just before the reported strike in Iran, Israel carried out a retaliatory strike in Beirut, killing a senior Hezbollah commander, raising concerns over widening the conflict in the region. Cha Yoon-kyung has the latest.
On Tuesday afternoon local time, an Israeli airstrike hit a southern suburb of Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. Lebanese media reported that the airstrike killed 3 people and injured more than 60. Israel's military claimed that this was in response to the attack of a football field in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on July 27th, which killed 12 children. Israel's Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant has warned that Hezbollah crossed a red line on his social network service. The Israel Defense Forces stated on Wednesday that it carried out a targeted strike in the Beirut area on Tuesday against a Hezbollah commander who had led the rocket strike on the football field. As a result, local media outlets reported that the commander, Fuad Shukur, a senior military advisor to Hezbollah's leader, was killed in the Beirut airstrike. Fuad Shukur was known as a right-hand man to the Hezbollah leader and his advisor in planning and directing attacks and operations. In the meantime, the Israeli military attack on Beirut was on the day of the inauguration of Iran's new president, while senior leaders of regional militant groups backed by Iran, known as the Axis of Resistance, were present at the ceremony. According to Iranian media, Iran's embassy in Beirut condemned the cowardly and criminal attack in a statement on Tuesday. Pundits say that the strike might escalate into a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah, since tensions are now at their highest.
We do not believe that all-out war is inevitable, and we still believe that it can be avoided. And we're continuing to work towards a diplomatic resolution that would allow Israeli and Lebanese civilians to return to their homes and live in peace and security.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesman strongly condemned the attack and said it was a clear violation of Lebanon's sovereignty, adding that Hezbollah and Lebanon had the right to retaliate against Israel. 차윤경, Arirang News.
In other news, second quarter findings have surprised Samsung Electronics with earnings above 10 trillion won. Moon Hye-ryun has the numbers.
South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics posted an earnings surprise for the second quarter of this year, seeing big gains in the memory chip sector. On Wednesday, the company reported an operating profit of 10.44 trillion Korean won between April and June, which is more than 14 times that of what was recorded in the same period last year. This equates to around $7.5 billion and comes following the firm's first quarterly earnings, which saw a surplus for the first time in 5 quarters. It's the first time in 10 quarters that the firm's quarterly earnings have surpassed 10 trillion won. By department, Samsung's DS division dealing with chips tallied 6.45 trillion Korean won in earnings due to strong demand for memory semiconductors such as high-bandwidth memory chips. Based on sales in this division alone, it overtook Taiwan's TSMC for the first time since the second quarter of 2022. The recovery in the market is seen as being a result of continued investment in artificial intelligence by cloud service providers and growing demand for AI in many businesses. The AI boom has also improved the company's foundry business sector, doubling its clientele in AI and high-performance computing as more orders came in for its state-of-the-art process technologies. Other than chips, the firm's MX division in charge of smartphones accounted for 2.23 trillion Korean won in operating profit, a decline from the previous quarter. Samsung Electronics attributed this to an overall decline in demand for premium smartphones, but stated that its Galaxy S24 series continued its success in shipments and revenue. Going into the second half of the year, the firm expects the memory chip market to continue flourishing. In turn, it plans to increase sales of its newest generation of HBM, the HBM3E. With its HBM3 chips cleared for use in NVIDIA's processors in China, analysts predict that the more sophisticated HBM3E chips could be given the green light for NVIDIA's other AI processors later this year and give the firm's earnings a boost for the third quarter. The overall demand for smartphones is also expected to increase in the third quarter of the year, as well as premium products integrating AI features. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
Findings for June show a mixed economic performance, with industrial output extending its on-month retreat, while private spending rebounding. Park Gun-woo covers the causes and more.
Industrial output for South Korea dropped in June compared to the previous month, while spending and investment both saw increases. According to related data released by Statistics Korea on Wednesday, overall industrial production fell by 0.1% on month in June. That's the second total output drop in as many months. By sector, public administration and construction decreased by 5.1% and 0.3% respectively, dragging the total industrial output down as well. Statistics Korea says the lower output in public administration was due to earlier than usual budget executions made this year. But the agency pointed to the increases in the mining and manufacturing sectors, including chips and chemical products.
On the production side, semiconductors are booming because the demand outlook for IT devices is good and the AI industry is growing continuously. Exports for chips are good too.
Private spending rebounded 1% in June from May, making it the first time in 3 months that the country saw a rise in spending. That's attributed to greater sales in durable goods such as automobiles and semi-durable goods including shoes and bags. But data also showed that spending dropped by more than 3% compared to the year before, making it the 4th consecutive drop. Equipment investment increased by 4.3% in June on month. Investment in machinery, including special industrial machinery, rose by over 6%. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
South Korea's automobile exports recorded an all-time high in the second quarter of this year. According to the Korea Customs Service, on Wednesday, their export value reached nearly $18 billion during the April to June period, up 6.8% on year. This was mainly due to a recovery in demand in major regions, including North America, and continuous demand for hybrid vehicles. Auto exports have been on the rise for 9 consecutive quarters since the second quarter of 2022. However, imports fell by over 25% in the second quarter, making it the 4th consecutive quarterly drop. South Korea's national tax revenue plunged in the first half of the year, heightening concerns about a potential tax deficit despite optimistic forecasts from the government. Data from the Finance Ministry released on Wednesday showed that revenue from January to June dropped by nearly 10 trillion Korean won, or over $7 billion compared to the same period last year. This comes as a result of a fall in collected corporate tax, which tumbled by more than 34% on year due to deteriorating corporate performance from major conglomerates. The government is counting on interim prepaid corporate taxes with improved performance in the second half of the year to boost tax revenue. Turning to the major medical dispute in the country, the deadline for recruiting trainee doctors for the second half of the year ended today, apparently with very few applicants. Shin Ha-young explains.
Recruitment for trainee doctors at 126 hospitals nationwide ended on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Since Monday last week, hospitals have been recruiting for 7,645 trainee doctor positions for programs starting in September. Although the government offered disciplinary exemptions for returning junior doctors, very few have applied. These included an exemption from the rule prohibiting residents who resign during their training period from returning to the same position within a year. However, the medical community has largely ignored the recruitment efforts, with some medical professors planning to boycott training programs for junior doctors and calling for the government to scrap its medical reform plan before any negotiations. Health Minister Do Kyung said on Tuesday that the government is aware of the low application numbers, but reiterated that no additional measures would be taken to encourage returns. The number of applicants to the country's 5 major training hospitals is very low. Some have had no applicants at all, while others, such as Seoul National University Hospital and Samsung Medical Center, had only a few ahead of the deadline. Before the recruitment ended, an official from one of the hospitals said that it was uncertain if the number would even exceed single digits. Amid this situation, resident doctors who have not returned are seeking jobs at private clinics, resulting in a decrease in salaries as more people compete for limited positions. Meanwhile, the Korean Medical Association announced on Wednesday that it has formed a task force to help non-returning resident doctors who are struggling to find jobs. It will connect these residents with private clinics and create a standard contract after determining a salary range that both residents and private clinics can agree on. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Journalist turned politician Edin Suks has begun her first day at work as the head of the nation's broadcast watchdog. After the longest ever confirmation hearing at the National Assembly, Lee went straight to work at the Hwacheon government complex earlier on this Wednesday. The appointment of the head of Korea Communication Committee does not require parliamentary approval. Her nomination by President Yoon has been met with fierce backlash from opposition lawmakers. Separately, President Yoon has tapped former governor of Gyeonggi-do Province Kim Moon-soo to lead the labor ministry. Kim is a 3-term lawmaker who last served as the chair of the Presidential Economic, Social and Labor Council. President Yoon has also appointed new ambassadors. For Japan, Park Chul-hee, former chancellor of the Korea National Diplomatic Academy, and for Australia, former Admiral Shim Seung-sup. In the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris appears to be standing slightly ahead over rival Donald Trump. A recent poll of over 1,000 American adults showed that 43% of registered voters supported Harris, while 42% supported Trump. In the same poll a week earlier, Harris had a 2 percentage point lead over Trump. The poll also showed that respondents preferred Trump's stance on the economy, immigration, and crime. Meanwhile, they favored Harris's plan for health care. Harris is set to be officially nominated as the Democrat presidential candidate during the party's national convention next month. Drone melting laser weapons will be deployed by South Korea within this year to shoot down unmanned North Korean aerial vehicles. Our correspondent Bae-eun-ji was at the testing site.
A drone catches fire and crashes into the sea. It was intercepted by a laser emitted by South Korea's newly developed high-energy laser weapon, about a kilometer away from the drone. At this testing center, South Korea has been developing these laser weapons to shoot down drones. It plans to start deploying and operating them by the end of this year. It has taken 5 years and cost around $63 million for South Korea to develop the new weapon, aimed at detecting and destroying small unmanned vehicles. Laser weapons are not only quiet and invisible, but they only need electricity to operate, making them cheap, costing less than $2 per shot. South Korea is expected to become the first country in the world to officially deploy and operate laser weapons.
We have successfully completed the research and development of an advanced laser weapon. By deploying the weapon in the near future, we will work to become a leading nation in this field.
Seoul's decision to develop and deploy laser weapons comes after Pyongyang's drone provocations in recent years. In 2014, North Korean drones equipped with digital cameras were discovered after crashing near the border in Paju City and Baekneungdo Island. Then in 2020, 5 drones from the north flew across the border and breached South Korean airspace, sounding an alarm over the security threats posed by unmanned vehicles. The laser weapon is designed to shoot down small drones for now, but the country plans to develop it in the future so that it can emit more powerful beams, strong enough to counter aircraft and ballistic missiles. Bae-eun-ji, Arirang News, Daean.
Team Korea, for the first time in over a decade, is bringing home an Olympic medal from table tennis. Lee Seung-jae covers this game and more.
It took 12 years, but South Korea finally added an Olympic medal in table tennis. It was in mixed doubles with Shin Yoo-bin and Im Jong-hoon, ending the long drought by winning bronze. The Shin-Lim duo defeated Wang Chun-ting and Du Hoi-Kim of Hong Kong in straight sets 4-0, winning their first career Olympic medals. The two fought for the third-place finish after falling short against the top-seeded mixed pair from China in Wang Chu-chin and Sun Yun-cha during the semifinals on Monday. The podium finish for Shin and Lim also allowed for a brief and rare Olympic moment where the South Koreans greeted and congratulated North Korean silver medalists Lee Jong-sik and Kim Geum-young. South Korea added another bronze medal on Tuesday, this time in the men's under 81 kilogram judo competition. Lee Jun-hwan became the world's third-best under 81 kilogram judoka after defeating third in the world-ranked Belgian judoka Matthias Kasse, scoring a waza-ari or half point just 48 seconds into the sudden death extra period. Lee secured South Korea's second Paris Olympic medal in judo. Despite being his first Olympics, and despite being just 2 years away from his senior career, Lee expressed slight disappointment and vowed to train harder so that he can win an Olympic gold in Los Angeles in 2028. But the future is bright for the 22-year-old judoka, who the International Judo Federation has even nicknamed Lightning Man, saying he's so fast that he can win a match before the player introduction is over. Meanwhile, in their first ever final of an Olympic swimming relay competition on Tuesday, the South Korean men's 4x100-meter freestyle relay team finished 6th. The 4-member team of Yang Jae-hoon, Lee Ho-jun, Kim Woo-min, and Hwang Sun-woo finished with a final time of 7 minutes 7.26 seconds. Kim had earlier won a bronze medal in the men's 400 meters. With the 2 bronze medals on Tuesday, South Korea is now ranked 5th in the medal standing with 5 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In Seoul, a heatwave warning has been in place for 2 days in a row, with a heat of around 35 degrees Celsius continuing nationwide. As for the heatwave warning, it was expanded to the capital area as a whole, as well as Gangwon-do province and the Chungcheong-do and Jeollado provinces this morning. As a hot and humid North Pacific high pressure expands, heat waves and tropical nights will continue. The temperature rises to its highest by 4 p.m., and the number of people suffering from heat-related illnesses is increasing rapidly. Please find time to rest in the shade when you're outside and drink water even if you're not thirsty. Tomorrow morning will start off at 25 to 27 degrees all over the country. Highs will move up to 33 in Seoul, Daegu 36, Gyeongju 37 degrees. On Friday, 5 to 40 millimeters of rain will fall sporadically in Seoul and central parts of the country. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.